Welcome, welcome. Lawful. Always. That's right. More brain food today. It is that time of week again. Greetings, greetings. Today we're going to continue our lawful deliberation. We're going to make some more progress on drafting our constitution. Right? We are going to be continuing the draft. I'm also going to be discussing today some other matters regarding suggestions, additions, what can we actually change, what should we change. Yeah, man. Lots and lots of information, but also it's not just about information, it's about useful information, right? We don't just want a consume, so and we can't do nothing with it, right? So the point of this page is the availability of usable information that we can actually transform and transmute and alchemize so that it can be beneficial to us and not just it sound good. Sasha, evening, lawful, welcome, welcome. Yeah, the point is to gather information that we can transform and use and get something beneficial out of it, right? At the end of the day, we are all here to make progress. We are all here to experience life in a different way. TikTok police, lawful, welcome. When we experience life in different ways, we are able to become better ourselves. And if you've ever read any great work, you'll often hear as they would say, the masters of their time. They will readily let you know that any great thing that you want to do, it requires collective effort. So you can start something. Apothecary, lawful, welcome. You can start something, but if you want it to get far, wide attention and support, you have to integrate with a collective. You have to garner an audience per se, right? And in cases like these, it requires not only an audience, but collaboration with everyone, right? Tazlin, welcome. Big up yourself. Lawful. And this is an opportunity for us to create our own history. We don't need to be following in anyone's footsteps. Because really and truly, all of the things that our ancestors been through in the past, it was so that we can come and create a future. It was not for them to create a future that we live in. So I'm going to get into more of that as we go along, because people are mistaking the sacrifices that were made to be something that they were creating at the time. And that is not the case. The point of the sacrifices in the past was so that we would have the power to create the future. And that is the opposite of what we have been living. We have been living in the shadows of other people's opinions. And we're going to get into a lot of that, Trust me, we're going to get into that. But everything takes steps. Everything takes time. Everything takes one foot in front of the other, making a stride. We can't just jump and go do something so. Right? We need to be on some common ground. We need to bring things up in stages so that we can see what we're doing, we can plan, and we can execute as we go along with confidence, right? Exactly. Rah, lawful, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so we're about to get started shortly. We have updated the constitutional draft. So now we have some new sections. I also received a constitutional suggestion to add. So big up yourself, Mr. WC. Lawful, always. You know, and that's what I want to see. I want to see people submitting their suggestions. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to showcase all of the suggestions that are made. And yeah, I will hide your name and the email address, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you want to make a suggestion, you simply go to voiceofjamaica.com, you scroll up, and the first post should be the Constitution. Let's see what it is named. It is called the new Constitution, right? So you can go there, you can click on the link, go to the new Constitution, click on the post in there, and then you can scroll down and submit your own suggestions. What would you like to see in a constitution if you had the chance to actually submit your own idea, your own interest? What it is that interests you, where it would benefit your personal individual life? Because really and truly, when we look at it, right, if we are supposed to come up with an idea and it is beneficial to, let's say, me, that beneficial interest that I have is going to benefit someone else because it is a personal endeavor. So many things that we want as an individual, as far as equality and equity and fairness, it almost is going to be beneficial to most people, especially either in your same class, your same gender, or, you know, the same category. So it is a great thing when we can submit our suggestions. No matter how simple we think it is, someone is going to say, yes, man, I want that too. Because we are not all different. We are connected in some way. So when we make suggestions and when we make things together, it is almost guaranteed that one suggestion or one action that is positive by one individual is going to benefit the group as a whole. Because we are creating something for ourselves. We not go out there and try please everybody, right? And if it is beneficial personally, most likely it will be beneficial as a collective. Obviously, when we say beneficial, we're not talking about tech people things, right? We are talking about actually create something that is going to be positive in our life and it is not infringing on what someone else has going on, right? So we're going to continue our constitutional draft. We're going to go through the sections and we're going to, for now, we're just creating the draft, right? Once we are done with the draft, we're going to go to stage 2. And stage 2 is going to be simply sharpening the document, right? Looking for things that are missing, looking for things that could be shortened and make simpler, right? Making sure everything is in plain language. You know, different little touch-ups and little things that will make it easier for not only us, but our generation to come, right? To look at this document and say, yes, this makes sense. I don't have to think further than the document to know what it has said. I don't have to look further than the document to get justice. I don't have to look further than the document to benefit from what it is teaching me, right? So when we make such an important document, we don't want people to bust them brain to figure out what is this all about, right? And we all have the power to do it. We have the power to come together. We have the power to create this monumental document, as well as a couple more that we are going to create, and create the future right now. Not when time we're gone to the afterlife. We're supposed to can do things right now so that we can experience this thing here now and also instill these values in our next generation coming up. Right? We're not trying to go to heaven before time. Right? So, without further ado, we are going to take a look at where we are today. Right? And what we are doing to elevate ourselves and our people to the next level. See? So, before we go there, so right? Now we have 182 people that voted, right? And for the latest poll, we have 32 people that participated. So big up on yourself for those who went to the poll and, you know, cast your vote on what you thought about that situation. So welcome Kim, welcome Damien, lawful, always. So here we have our updated constitutional draft, right? See if we can make it a little bit clear, right? So we went through the preamble. So if you want, a matter of fact, let me start from the beginning so everybody see how we get here, right? So you go to the home page and the first post is the new constitution, right? We click on that. And then we click on the Constitution and Bill of Rights. And that's how we get to this constitutional page. All right, so we went through the preamble already. We went through the declaration, right? So now we have the Bill of Rights, right? I don't think we went over Bill of Rights last time. So we added the Bill of Rights. So now what we're going to do is we're going to review what we have as a placeholder for the Bill of Rights. And again, this right here is a starting point, right? This is not what we are going to be calling a final document. So as we go along, we are going to improve the document. We're going to add things. We're going to make sure that it aligns with what we want as a people, not just what I just write down, right? So, Bill of Rights and Freedoms. 1, exactly. Right to life and security. Every person has the right to live in safety and dignity. No person may be deprived of life or liberty except through lawful judgment after a fair trial by an impartial tribunal of 3 judges from different parishes or a jury of 9 people from different parishes unrelated to any party. Freedom of thought and belief. Every person may hold and express their belief, religious or otherwise, without interference. Freedom of speech and expression. Every person has the right to speak, write, publish, and share ideas without censorship, subject only to laws protecting the safety and rights of others. Freedom of assembly. People may gather peacefully to discuss matters of public interest and to petition their government. Freedom from arbitrary arrest. No person may be detained or arrested without lawful cause supported by evidence sufficient to prove harm, damage, loss of life, or loss of right. Fair trial. Every person, I feel like we go through that part here last time. We did go through this part the last time. Right? But we're going to finish it up. Every person accused of a crime has the right to face the accuser in court, know the accusation, present evidence, question witnesses, defend themselves personally and with assistance, be judged by an impartial court. Public courts. All courts shall operate openly and maintain full records of proceedings, including audio, video, written rulings, and evidence. Protection of privacy. The private lives, homes, communication, and personal records of individuals shall not be interfered with except under lawful authority and evidence. Property rights. People have the right to own property and to use it peacefully. Property may not be taken except for public necessity and fair compensation. 10. Protection from cruel and arbitrary punishment. Punishment must be lawful, proportionate, and publicly known. No punishment may be imposed except under law, written and enacted before the alleged offense. All judges imposing punishment shall be named in full and sign every order by hand. A trial by jury shall be anonymous in judgment and shall only require the signatures of the majority. 11. Right to education. All children shall receive education necessary to understand the laws, history, language, and responsibilities of society. Right to representation. Any person may represent themselves or choose another person to assist in their legal defense. No person shall be forced to hire a lawyer, nor attorney, nor legal professional. Right to record government. Citizens may document public officials performing public duties. Right to participation. Citizens have the right to vote on matters of national importance as provided in this Constitution. Right to arms, including guns and defensive weapons. The people have the right to acquire, use, hold, transfer, or store in any way deeming fit any defensive weapon for one's own protection or protection of one's home and property. Innovation and creation of new items used as defensive weapons shall encompass this definition and shall not be converted in definition to mean an offensive weapon. This basic tenet of life shall be forever inviolable and never the basis nor justification for presumption of intent to commit a crime, nor basis for a criminal charge without sufficient evidence to prove criminal elements. Right? And, as we go along, we're going to see more extensive definitions and more extensive rules that are very clear on how we are going to use them, right? How they are to be used in specific circumstances. So one of the points of a constitution like this is to be an all-inclusive document. We cannot have what we call law, right? And we have a chance to create the law, but yet still we are having a completely separate body of government sitting there saying that they have to come up with new laws. It doesn't make any sense, right? If we know what a crime is, we simply lay out what elements constitute a crime, and that is it. If you fall under this criteria, that is a crime. If you deprive somebody of property or anything, that is a tort offense, right? On the civil side. If you intentionally do things to deprive somebody of life, liberty, or property, that is a crime. You can be charged criminally with that. We just make those basic things very simple in the law. Excuse me. So if later on we have, for example, new technology come along, let us use, for example, scamming, right? If we have something like scamming that wasn't prevalent at a certain time, but now it is prevalent, it is still stealing. Stealing in every society is wrong because you are taking someone else's property. So why do we need to create a law for that? It does not make any sense. If we know that the taking of property without authority is a crime, will we create a specific law just because somebody create basically a different avenue for somebody thief? It is still a crime. It is still a crime if it is proven, right? You can still be charged and then brought before a tribunal and get tried the same way. We don't need a law for every single thing. We lay out the basic foundation and it encompasses everything, and we don't have to keep modifying. It just don't make no sense. We are going to have unlimited laws like what we have today, which again, they are not laws, they are simply acts of parliament, which are policy. And the only reason why they apply to many people is because we don't realize we have been walking around as a municipal corporation. Right? So, there is actually another section that it looks like I didn't save. Let me see if I can bring it up so we can talk about this lawfully. Yep. The other part didn't save, so give me 1 second. And if I write document no open, let me double check. So the whole idea here, I said Dennis want to come up. The whole idea is to ensure that we not only have fairness, but we also have continuity, which is logical, right? Logical continuity of what we would consider to be law. And if we, the people, are not creating the law, then how can we then say that we participated in society? How can we then claim that we are an independent nation of one people if we have not come together and do anything yet? It doesn't make any sense. So this is why this document is super important. I am updating the structure of the other section. Come here and say, well, I know we did have more than this. But while I was working on a part of this document here, I remember I had left it open and I didn't save it. So we are going to update the draft and we are going to continue with this new section. Should have made sure I checked it before we start, but so it go. So, like I was saying before, on the constitutional page where we have the draft on voiceofjamaica.com, you can make your suggestions and all suggestions that are made are going to be publicly available. Are going to be publicly available at the very bottom, at the very end of the post where you make the suggestions. You can scroll further down and we're going to have, thank you. We are going to have everybody's suggestion included on the website so that we can see the different suggestions and the changes that were made as we go along, right? So, almost finished here. Just gotta format this properly so that if you do choose to go and look at the document, it will be comprehensive and laid out properly, and you can follow along and see the changes in an organized manner. All right, 3, 4. All right, so center this. All right, so we're gonna call this draft 2. All right, we're gonna show the draft after we are done with the rest of it. So let me place this on the website so that we can go over it, and we're gonna continue. All right, so let's pull this back up. Where is this? Here we go. So now we have Section 6. No, Article 1. From Article 1 to 14. Alright, so I'll update this. And that is updated. So we're going to get back on the website. And we're going to continue. Let's see, did we have any questions? Strong JM Karate, welcome, lawful. Alright, so let us switch back to the computer. Alright. So here we have Article 1, source of authority. And again, these sections are going to change over time. So don't worry about the titles for now. What we are concerned with is the content, right? The authority that is being built. So section 1. So we had the Bill of Rights, and now we have section 1 called source of authority. All authority in Jamaica originates from the people of the island. 2. Government exists only to carry out the lawful will of the people and to maintain peace, justice, and public welfare. No person or office may exercise authority unless that authority is granted by this constitution. So what that means is we not go have no government create government office. It does not make sense. If we the people don't deem it to be necessary, the government cannot act on its own. The government is supposed to only answer to we the people and do what we the people said them to do. Right? 4. Public authority must always remain accountable to the people, including transparency. Don't. Section 2. Structure of national government. The government of Jamaica shall operate through 3 cooperative structures. 1. The people. 2. The parish command. 3. The national command. Now, I came up with these, I rather say command and government department. But again, as we go along, we can decide what to call these things, right? But the people come first. We are the original and first authority. Each structure shall operate within clearly defined limits, right? So if something is not listed, you don't have any power. It's that simple. Section 3, the people. The people are the ultimate authority of Jamaica. 2, the people shall participate directly in decisions affecting national policy, public spending, and constitutional change. 3, voting on national matters shall be conducted through secure public voting systems accessible to all citizens. 4, no decision affecting national spending, constitutional amendment, or major national policy shall take effect without approval by at least 40% of eligible voters. Right? So see we have one boat liquor. Let us get rid of that. So if we have any kind of major national importance that needs to be considered, it is logical, right, that we the people have some kind of say on what is going on before it happens. We can't have things just show up in the news and I say, you know, say them they do this, you know, say them buy that, you know, say this can't find, you know, say this get spent, you know, say we have 15 billion we spend and we don't know where it go. We can't have that. Any kind of spending we are going, the people supposed to be able to make sure say it is in the best interest of the people before any kind of spending or agreement go on. Holistic Cosmetics, lawful, welcome. Section 4. The parishes. Jamaica shall be divided into 14 parishes. Each parish shall function as a local administrative region responsible for the well-being, development, and governance of its community. Parish governance shall be coordinated through a parish commander. Section 5. Parish commanders. Each parish shall elect one parish commander. Parish commanders are responsible for maintaining public order, administering parish resources, representing parish interests at the national level. 3. Parish commanders shall serve as the primary representatives of their parish in national matters. 4. Parish commanders must act in accordance with the Constitution and may be removed by public vote within their parish. 6. The Council of Parish Commanders. The 14 parish commanders shall form the National Council of Parishes. 2. The Council shall coordinate national policy discussions and recommend matters for public vote. 3. The Council shall not possess independent legislative authority. 4. All binding national decisions requiring law or public spending must be approved by the people. So this is what I mean by the people should be integral in any kind of national matter. We have seen what happens when we give untethered power to a few, to a small collective that is not answerable to the people. Not only spending becomes unconscionable, we have actions that are taken that are just dismantling to the people who gave the power in the first place. So we should not have any national action, any kind of important matter that does not have the seal of approval from the majority. Section 7, National Commanders. From among the 14 parishes, the people shall elect 2 national commanders. The national commanders shall serve as the international and national representatives of Jamaica. Their responsibilities include foreign relations, national security coordination, emergency leadership, execution of decisions approved by the people. Justin, welcome. Lawful, always. Four, national commanders must act jointly in matters of national importance. 5. Neither national commander may exercise unilateral authority over national policy. Section 8. Limitations of authority. No government office may create laws outside the procedures defined in this Constitution. 2. All actions of government must remain transparent and recorded. 3. Any authority exercised beyond the limits of this Constitution shall be void. Simple. 9. Removal of public officials. 1. Any parish commander or national commander may be removed from office by the people. 2. Removal procedures shall be initiated through public petition within the relevant parish or nationwide, depending on the office held. 3. Final removal shall occur through public vote. So it's very simple. If the people them say, hey, we don't want this somebody in a power no more, you know. You not do your job, we don't like how you run things. The people can immediately vote on such a removal. Right? This should not be something so complicated where you talk about them have to finish up them term and all them foolishness there. If you not do your job, you get fired, just like a regular job. Section 10, term of office. Parish commanders shall serve for a 4-year term. National commanders shall serve 4-year terms, aligned with parish command elections. 3. No person may serve more than 2 consecutive terms as national commander. Right? So you limit them power, you limit how long they are in office. Very simple. Once you serve your term, you're good to go. Right? Section 11, Public Decision Authority. 1. The people shall vote directly on matters including national spending, constitutional amendments, major development projects, international agreements affecting sovereignty. 2. Voting systems must ensure transparency, security, equal access for all citizens. Section 12. Stability of government. This constitution shall remain in force and unchanged for a minimum of 10 years following its adoption or last amendment. Right? So what this does is it allows for the constitution, after it is drafted by the people and approved by the people, it cannot simply be changed the next year. It cannot simply be changed, 5 years down the line just because somebody don't like something. And again, it has to be done by national vote down. So either way, any constitutional amendment must be something that is, it should have some kind of history so that we can give it some importance over a 10-year period. You don't want something where just come up so you want to make change right away, right? Amendments during this period may occur only in cases of national emergency, war, widespread public crisis, right? So it have to be of some great importance to actually make an amendment to the Constitution. And the amendment is never to remove, it is always to add, right? Because we want more protection. Exactly, give it time to bloom and function. That's correct. 3, any amendment must be approved by public vote. Section 13, abolition of prior systems of rule. Key section, right? Upon adoption of this constitution, all prior systems of governance, laws, statutes, regulations, and codes shall cease to have authority. 2, only laws written within this constitution or enacted under its authority shall be recognized in Jamaica. Exactly. Once we put something like this in force and effect, all the slavery laws them go out the window immediately. Right? No more colonial laws. Section 14, duty of government. The purpose of government in Jamaica shall be 1, protection of the people. 2, maintenance of peace and order. 3, preservation of liberty. 4, stewardship of the stewardship of the land and sea. 5, advancement of knowledge, culture, and prosperity. Right? So these are the sections we have thus far. If you want to make a suggestion, you can fill out your information here on this form and you hit the submit button. Right? So here we have constitutional draft suggestions. Right? Let's see if we can get closer so we can see what's going on here. So this is a single suggestion that was made so far. I have not integrated the suggestions as of yet, but we have one suggestion so far from a single individual. 8 points. Zine? Triple RH2 says, what about stewards of the ear? Yeah, man, you can make your suggestions, You can make a suggestion on the page and we will post it here and we will start making the additions once we are actually done with the sections of the document and we start review, right? So, for now, the document is simply being drafted, right? So far we have probably about, how much page we have? We have 12 pages thus far drafting the Constitution, right? So, as we move along to different sections, we are going to be adding the suggestions and the modifications that we get from we the people, right? So far the suggestions are 1, the right to bear arms and defend oneself using equal or greater force. 2, no natural plant can be deemed illegal. 3, paternity fraud is unlawful. 4, make polygamy lawful. 5, men must be a part of their children's lives once paternity is confirmed. 6. Convicted criminals are indebted to their victim or the victim's family. 7. An indigenous chief, male or female, should be the head of the state. The head of state. 8. Ratify the UDHRIP and the ADRIP to make those declarations binding law. To be continued. Well, these are some interesting suggestions, right? And like I said, we're going to add and combine suggestions so that when we complete the document, we're going to start the refining process, right? Combining and shortening and bringing things down to a simplistic level so that it is not only easy for us, but anyone reading the document, it should be abundantly clear that, you know, these things are what are being protected. This is what this thing is about. And these are the protections that are offered for every level of individual governance, etc., etc. Right? So far in this document, we have way more than what we currently have in the present system of governance. We have a draft that is only about a quarter way finished, right? And we would have already stripped away all of the colonial laws coming from 1664 and earlier. And with something like this, where we have a chance to say, yes, this is how we want our nation to run. This is how we want our leaders to lead. This is the kind of power we want to bestow upon people, and this is the kind of power we want to retain as a people. So if we as an employer, right, we are employer public official, we make sure we say them have them livelihood, we make sure we say them good in them office. But if you now work, or if you now work properly, it is just like any other job. You simply get voted out. Once you start having a certain amount of complaints, and it is evident that you're not doing a job, you should be fired. Right? The question is, how does one oppose the crown with this idea of creating a new system? Well, first and foremost, we are not opposing anyone or anything. Okay? What we are doing is we are simply stating that since we are a free people, we have the ability to create our own constitution. And once we have successfully done that and we have national support, then we would simply make it law. We would put the crown on notice that we have now taken things into our own hands and they need to pack up and leave. That is simply how it goes. Because they have already deemed us to be independent. We as a people have not taken that independence anywhere. We have still been using the remnants and the shackles that they left for us. And we have not done anything with independence since it was so-called declared. Right? So we're not opposing, we're not challenging, and we are not inciting anything. We are simply stating our claim as a free and independent people of an island nation. I hope that was clear. So, at the end of the day, we are not here to create any controversy. We are simply stating our truth, right? And if we state our truth and we stand on it and we are peaceful, then we should not have anything to worry about, right? We are not a warring people. We are peaceful individuals. So once we can maintain that level of intellect and that level of protection of human rights, then we can start demanding the same, right? I cannot recall Jamaica starting a war or the people of Jamaica ever starting a war, right? And if there was ever a war, it was simply in defense. Maybe I am wrong, but from my research and what I have seen, what I have read, what I have come across, what I have researched, Jamaica has never started a war. So, it is clear that we are a peaceful people, unless it can be proven otherwise, right? So, the point of all of this is to make Jamaica better. Because first and foremost, I know for a fact that we are not performing at our full potential. And I have not seen where our leaders have done anything to benefit the individual. If there is a benefit, there is almost always a consequence that comes with it. I'll give you an example. It is our tax dollars that were used to build the roads. Right? If a loan is taken out, our tax dollars or the money that is in our consolidated funds, that is what is used to pay for the workmanship and the materials for the highways that we see across Jamaica. From what we heard when it was being built, it would only take a few years to pay back the Chinese for the work that they have done and the infrastructure that was built. But yet still, have we had any kind of concession or any kind of real benefit without consequence? Absolutely not. The Jamaican people have continued to pay the tolls day in and day out. And I can say the toll alone, if that was separated as a budget of what is being taken in, I think everybody would be shocked at the amount of money that has been collected just from the tolls alone, right? And when we look at the fact that people have to pass these tolls to go to work, especially in the corporate area, and it has been years since these roadways and these highways have been built. It has been years since these loans have been paid back. And for some reason, we continue to pay perpetually with no end, paying these tolls every single day. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know about anybody, but I find that to be not in the interest of the people. If our tax dollars are used for some purpose, we cannot then be charged like we borrow something from a corporation. We take a loan from somebody personally. It just don't make no sense. If I free with money and all we do is we are pay you as our representative to go out there and get deals done, get work done and all of this, but then you turn around and charge we again. Not only are you taking the money that we put into a system for ourselves, you come back again and you little by little you draw out more money, out of our pocket. For what? For what? You see how the highway they maintain, and you see how long the highways are, right? You see how far the highways stretch. And yet still, we don't have a single parish without potholes. Not one parish we can say has amazing roads like the highway. So you can get to the potholes faster, but you can't go home in peace without rugger. I don't find that to be progress. How many years now we have been hearing of how much billions of dollars Jamaica is spending maintaining roads? Maintaining what? The road them not have proper foundation anymore. As a matter of fact, the proper foundation that was built back in the 80s and 90s much of that was dug up. Them dig up back the road there and then put on a thin layer of tar. Thin layer. So every single year, that thin layer comes up and then put on some more and then call it maintenance. That's what I've seen. That's just what I've seen. So these things should not be happening, in my opinion. I don't know about anybody else. If these things are happening, I think they should be changed, and I think we should take control of these jobs and make sure they are done properly. Yes, sir. Good evening. I don't know where the money is showing for. Big up yourself. Anyways, so with a constitution like this, we the people get to control what exactly it is that these people do, right? If we are going to hire public officials, if we're going to hire people to take care of our country and assist in our well-being, we should have a say-so in everything that they do. We should give them their job descriptions. We should not allow them to go in there and create their own policies and to be doing all of this foolishness. It is ridiculous. Ridiculous. And, you know, someone was asking me, what am I calling colonial laws? Right? And why we want to change what is happening. First of all, like I showed before, the Constitution itself states clearly that the laws that were in force and effect prior to the Constitution are still in force and effect after the Constitution. So that includes the colonial laws because they were prior to the Constitution, right? So the Constabulary Force Act is pre-Constitution. That is where the police power comes from. We have the Interpretation Act. We have many acts of parliament that were there prior to the Constitution. And we are still being governed by them today, even though they claim that we have independence. What sense that make? That don't make any form of sense. So, alright, let me start. Take care of some annoyance in the comments. JFC Kin 5 just got blocked. So when we have all of these colonial rules that are disrupting society, talking about Road Traffic Act and road traffic regulations, and any little thing that you do on the road that can never survive any scrutiny in court, in a true court, let us say a true court, because right now, because of the colonial government structure, we cannot even have an impartial court, right? We cannot have a so-called court of justice because, for example, a police officer issues a charge under the Road Traffic Act, right? We don't have an independent court to adjudicate anything because the police officer is being paid by the government, the clerk of court is being paid by the government, the judge is being paid by the government, and the government is charging you, the government is prosecuting you, and oftentimes they don't even want you to have a jury trial unless you have an attorney, because they know if a jury is supposed to be included in all of these trials, nobody would pay anything because people would find it absurd that they are calling these criminal charges. Just because somebody write down on a piece of paper said this is a criminal charge, that does not make it criminal. It has to have the elements of a crime. So when we take away this kind of arbitrary power and we institute, for example, court rules, all of this stops. all of the oppression stops. If there are criminals, you find other ways to find them. You cannot just be randomly stopping people and I talk about, you know, the most the most laughable thing I see is you purchase a car, it can be even a brand new car, and they are telling you that if you're using a function of the car, like a fog light or daytime running light or whatever, that it is an offense. Imagine they allowed the importation of a vehicle or of a car into the country, and now they are going to say, well, if you use this feature of the car, it is deemed illegal. Why you didn't tell the manufacturer or the importer to remove this functionality before you sell the car? And if bigger and better country don't have any problem with the functionality of the vehicle and there are international standards that were already met, how comes little Jamaica come around and say this feature of the car is not supposed to be used on the road? You need to have low visibility. So that's what I mean by these arbitrary and unusual rules that people are often prosecuted for. And then if you don't know what is happening in court, then you go scoop. Because the court don't operate by basic rules. They start operating by procedure. Right? You just wait until we get to the punishment section. Because if we have a constitution that has all the laws that we deem fit, right? And we put we can say most of the punishment, because there are some things that you can say, well, you know something? It is better for a tribunal to determine the punishment of certain things depending on its severity or depending on its nature. But after a time, we will have seen just about everything, right? We don't have to deliberate on many things. The only things I can think of that are dynamic are family matters. Family matters are pretty dynamic, right? But over a period of time, we will have seen just about everything when it comes to family and equity matters. So over time, we simply add those things to the Constitution and everybody would know what the penalty is if this violation occurs, right? You don't have to have every single individual going into a court and now you start the court having to go through one heap of foolishness to decide whether or not something is true, whether or not someone is entitled to something, etc., etc. The other big thing is the lands in Jamaica, right? We hear the government often talk about, this is crown land and you cannot be a squatter. And if you don't have land title, then it is government property. It is rubbish. Absolute rubbish. The government cannot own anything. The government cannot own anything. Remember, the government dies every 4 to 5 years. The government is literally dissolved into oblivion every 4 to 5 years. It is we, the people, who raise them from the dead by voting. This is not a conspiracy. You can go look it up. The Constitution itself tells you the government is dissolved after 4 years or after 5 years, one of them. So anyways, this is why we put these things together, we put them on paper, and we draft the Constitution to ensure that we have fairness and equality for all. If we the people, let us look at this in a different way, all right? If we the people know that we have a consolidated government fund, right? We have different accounts. And in these accounts, let's say we had 2 trillion Jamaican dollars, right? 1,000 billion makes a trillion. You know how much zero that? Anyways, let's say collectively we have $2 trillion, which we probably have more than that. I would say we have quite a bit more than that. But if we had $2 trillion, right? And we see how the country is run over a period of, let's say, 2 to 3 years. So now we know how to budget for things. We know what is continuous that we need to budget for. And then we know what short-term projects we need to budget for, right? So you never really want to budget too far below half of what you have, right? So if we have a budget and we see that we don't even need half of the budget, where we continually have a surplus, right? Doesn't that ensure that the native people of Jamaica eventually don't even need money? I never said don't be productive, you know. But if we continually have a surplus and we don't need to spend, doesn't that mean that we can spend less, enjoy ourselves more, be more creative, not just productive? We're not have to always at work. We can be creative. We can now spend more time with our family. We don't need to have an 8-hour day. We can simply have a half a day's work and someone else take over a different shift. You know, like how we used to have school shifts, right? You have some people work a day, some people work at evening, some people work at night. That is way better than you get up every single day. I work until sundown. It's way better. We would be more happier. Now, even people who are not interested in a farming, them would want to go do something else. So them go learn another trade, or them go help out somebody. We would have so many things that are resolved. It wouldn't be funny. Imagine we can now focus on what is actually healthy for us, right? We can now start having industries, having plants and different things in our own country. You know, years ago we used to have factories, lots of different types of factories, and slowly but surely they disappear. We literally stopped creating just about anything except farming. No longer do we have the Goodyear factory. We don't have any kind of clothes factory again. We don't have anything. But if we have a surplus in the government, right, we don't tell people to go look work. We now start teaching each other how to create industries, right? We start using the land properly and stop using it to build up hotel. We start actually using the land to create local things, crafts, art. We start using our doctors to actually heal people and stop treating, right? We stop criminalizing those who are in homeopathic medicine. Once it can be proven that it works, we simply use our local population, right? We have so many things that we would be embarrassed about. The hospitals, you know, those simple things. If we could have hospitals that have little or no smell, right? We have proper etiquette, proper demeanor. The people who work there, you start having, you know, how we used to have the parish councils and things like that. We start having doctors who don't live in the area, right? So you don't have any personal bias against anyone. If you live at St. Thomas, you go to Kingston, go work. You live at Kingston, you go work at St. Catherine or St. Thomas or Portland, right? You have people that travel to go to different places, and you don't get stuck in one place either. If you're a doctor or a nurse, this month you work here so, next month you go over so, next month you go there so. You don't stay in one place and create any kind of evil situation. And if you're not doing your job, you see, if we don't start having consequences for a lot of these industries, that is how they get out of control, right? If we don't have oversight, proper oversight, we're not talking about somebody just go look and say, oh, I go on, yeah man, all right, good, look more. No man, we can't have that. We start put on body cam on the people who are the oversight. So we see what you are going to do. When you go and you make a report and you make an investigation and you come back, yeah man, we don't want to hear what you say. Just give it a piece of paper and the footage. You don't need to explain yourself. And you have somebody independent who review those things. And those are the kind of checks and balances we need. We cannot just leave everything up to the bureaucracy. We can't leave everybody to do their own thing, because at the end of the day, we take our arm. We same one, right? So we have to take things into our own hands if we want to change. Can't leave it up to people. Ready? Good evening, good evening. Alright, look like that was a fat finger. So that is the purpose of having an independent constitution by we the people, because then we decide what the rules are. We decide what is beneficial to us. We decide what takes priority and what the country actually needs, because what? We are the ones who are now going to be saying this is a problem or that is a problem. Not somebody sitting up in an office and walk around 1-2 place and say, yeah man, it look like this is a problem and maybe we need to do this, maybe we need to tax back juice. You can't make this shit up. So when we start taking things into our own hands, that is the only time we can expect change. If we sit down and wait, that is always a recipe for disaster. So let us come together. Let us build this constitution. Let us scrutinize it together. And let us come as one. Because if we don't make our voice be heard, if we don't build something and approve it, if we don't show that we are ready for our freedom, then how is the world going to know? How are we going to get freedom if we keep on expecting it from somebody else? The world has been waiting for us to do something. So now is the time. Now is the time for us to craft our own and show the world that we can be independent. It might sound like a big deal, you know. It might sound like something surmountable. Something where you say, boy, this look like a big task. But it's just like running a marathon. You just need to take the first step. We just need to take the first step. Right? So, well, it shows desperation and disaster, right? To be taxing back juice. So, again, this is our draft on voiceofjamaica.com. If you want to if you want to review the draft, you can go to voiceofjamaica.com. I'm going to go back to the home page so you can see. Then the first post will say new constitution. And then you click on Constitution and Bill of Rights. Right? And this is our constitutional draft. So you can review it. If you would like to make suggestions or additions, you can make a submission by scrolling down. Once you scroll down to the end of the document, it has a form right here where you can fill out your name, your email address, and the suggestions that you have, and you hit submit. For each submission that we receive, they will be posted right here below the form so that we can see what our fellow Jamaicans have to say about our constitutional draft and what they want to add or what they would like to refine as a part of this document. So let us talk about a couple of these sections, right? So, for example, section 14, duty of government. In our current constitution, we don't have any section of the constitution that talks about what the government is supposed to be doing. We just hear about Parliament, the Senate, and the House. That's all we hear about. So they literally have untethered power. Make this live public as well as on YouTube. All right, will do. Will do. Ash 100 XOXLI. Yeah, man, share some details. Share some details when you say lie. We can't just make arbitrary, outbursts. Let us hear when you say lie. Right? So, if we're going to have a constitution, we need to have expectations of what the government should be doing, right? And again, this is a placeholder, right? This definitely needs to be expanded so that we know exactly what we want our elected officials or we want to expand this section to have a full job description of what they are supposed to be doing. See? Ash, I think you need to just listen for a while before you start commenting. But anyways, so, the basic tenets of government is to protect the people, right? What do we mean by that? It means that we have elected officials, right? We vote them in and we say, hey, we need protection. So they would be the ones who would manage the police force, right? We would have a police force, but it would not be under some arbitrary authority. The people would initiate the police force, and then the government would have, policy control over them, right? Oversight on their duties and so forth. But the Constitution itself would have the basic foundation of authority of what they're supposed to be doing. We cannot have complete discretionary power given to any public body or public official. That is what gets us in problems. Right? Maintenance of peace and order. Again, these are things that would be very specific when we talk about what is peace and what is order and how that is achieved. We don't want policies again, we already have the limitations listed here where we're saying they cannot make anything without the people voting on it. So in any case, nothing is going to go into place without the people actually having knowledge of it before it happens. We're not going to wait for hear upon news say this policy or this order go into effect and the people don't know about it. No. The people will know about anything beforehand before it goes into effect, right? So maintenance of peace and order. So protection of the people, which is the police force. Maintenance of peace and order, which means that if there's a crime, the police go and investigate and enforce the law, right? Preservation of liberty, right? So if we have a situation where an individual is being deprived of some kind of right, then we can petition or we can make a report or a complaint to the police, and the police should be able to assist, right? If we can do it by ourselves. Stewardship of land and sea, right? Something like this is important because the government, as we say, cannot own anything. The government is temporary. Those who go into government office, they are only there temporarily. And once they are in there, they are simply stewards, right? So the land and the sea that is surrounding the island is ours. It is our waters, it is our land. But the government is simply there as guardians of it, right? Using the different mechanism like, the defense force or the police to do certain things, right? Advancement of knowledge, culture, and prosperity. I couldn't tell the last time when the government did anything to advance knowledge within Jamaica without charging a fee. The schools are there, but you have to pay for go to school. If you want anything to do with culture, right? And you try to go to a government department, in many cases, it may take you months or sometimes years to get the government involved, if it is not something big enough where they gain some recognition. And prosperity. I don't know of any prosperity that the government has provided to the people thus far. None. But hey, I might be wrong. Well, Ash, that is your opinion. Ash says, oh my, I know you're not trained in the law at all. And say, all constitutional provisions are subject to interpretation by the court, strict and rigorous. Well, Ash, I think at this point you're just a distraction because you come in late and you start on a bad foot because you have no idea what we're talking about, obviously. Anyways, Section 13, abolition of prior systems of rule, right? Direction to the webpage. So you go to voiceofjamaica.com. Once you are on voiceofjamaica.com, let us go back there. Let us open this in a new window so we don't lose our section. So on voiceofjamaica.com, you click on New Constitution. Once you click on that, you scroll down and you click on Constitution and Bill of Rights. And you will get to this document that we are going over, our constitutional draft. All right. So let us continue. All right. So abolition of prior systems of rule. Upon the adoption of this constitution, all prior systems of governance, laws, statutes, regulations, and codes shall cease to have authority. Right? So right now, like we were discussing before, if we are still going to allow the colonial laws to continue, right? We are literally simply slaves. We continue to be slaves. There are so many acts of parliament that have been passed prior to the constitution that some of them you never really hear about, right? They are not made public. You want to find some of these things, you have to dig and go through different websites. And it is atrocious, the amount of acts of parliament that are out there. And best believe, if someone is cognizant enough and they go and find a couple of these acts, you can get in real problems because the court is going to recognize it. Right? We cannot have a system of laws that is scattered, you can never have real justice. So we have to abolish everything that was in the past. Get rid of it. If we want to have fair laws, we must know what the law is. And the only way for us to truly know the law is to have the law in one place. Right? A matter of fact, it's something like this. We get a Chinese printing company and have them print out 2 million copy. Right? Them say a 3 million people here in Jamaica. I know say a 3 million house. So for every household, you get a copy of the Constitution. Very plain and simple. Right? So that way, everybody have access to the law. You can simply go to a section that affects you and see how the law applies. You don't have no ambiguity in the law. Everything is just plain and straight and simple. But we have to get rid of the colonial ties before we can actually have real justice in this place here. Is it now cost more than 110 boss? Well, hey, boy, I keep coming for that. 2. Only laws written within this constitution or enacted under its authority shall be recognized in Jamaica. And this is important, right? If we want to have a fair system of laws, we want it to be under one authority, and we are actually calling it law. It is not going to be an act. It's not going to be a regulation, right? If it is not a government department that has, like a policy or a regulation that is internal to that government department only, that's different, right? But when it comes to the people and everybody who are in Jamaica as free people in their private capacity, a law, if it don't say law, or if it don't say constitution, then it is not law. It's that simple, right? And we define all of that when time we are talking about the written system of law, right? Stability of the government. This constitution shall remain in force and unchanged for a minimum of 10 years following its adoption or last amendment, right? So one of the things I see quite often is we have amendments that are suggested or attempted, and we don't know where any of them stand, because sometimes the courts will deem something unconstitutional, or the Privy Council might say, this is not approved, but yet still you don't have any comprehensive method of knowing, okay, are we still following this? Is this in effect? Is this being deemed valid? Sometimes you don't know. And unfortunately, sometimes you will bring up something and the court will recognize it unless somebody challenges it. Unfortunately. In this situation where the Constitution say, here we are going, only this Constitution is in full force and effect, right? That takes away all of that confusion. And then if we're going to say there's a minimum of 10 years, that means that something has to have been happening for a good bit of time, or it has to be of such a significance to the people that them say, here we are going. This has been going on for the last 5 or 10 years. We need to make this suggestion and make this change in an amendment to the Constitution, because we can't have this go on without punishment, right? So this gives the Constitution time to settle and be a staple within society and not be so either rigid or, non-menable. Because we know that over time, situations might change. But the basic tenets of law, those things don't change. We know what is right and what is wrong. Those are the basic things about law. We don't need nobody to tell me what's right and what's wrong. Right? So those things obviously would become like a foundation. But anything that we might have that is not covered by the Constitution explicitly. And the court have too much discretion, we take with that. That is the other section that is going to come up, right? What power will the courts have? You know, let me talk to one about the party too. Because there are so many people who are facing all kind of detriment when they're going to court, right? And we don't realize, we don't know what's going on, right? Much are we go in a court and we humble and we are trying to explain the situation, or we are trying to ask for evidence and we don't know what to expect, right? And then almost every time you go to court, you're going to hear a different answer from a judge. You know, there is something called judicial discretion, where because the judge is deciding what is fact and what is fiction, the judge is presuming to have the authority to come up with his own opinion on who is right and who is wrong. That is what judicial discretion is. So the judge can hear a factual matter. You can come with your evidence. You can lay out the situation perfectly. But if the judge in his mind don't think, say, you lay it out how him want to hear it, or if you don't lay it out and say, all right, this case law support what me I say. Even though you might say, well, the law says this, and this is the section of law, you know. If you don't lay out one case law with it, to say, okay, what did the court say before? The judge might deny your claim. Or the judge might come up with something to say, well, you know, we don't see any other precedents for allow this, so we're not going to allow it, even though the law says this is what is supposed to happen. And there, he is exercising judicial discretion. Now, many of these discretions that are exercised are not lawful, because when a judge exercises judicial discretion, it is not independent of the law. Let me say that again. When a judge exercises judicial discretion, it is not an isolated decision. It must align with the law that applies to the case. But if you don't know to object to it, if you don't know how to bring it up as a contention, as a matter of fact, if a judge rules outside of the law and does not cite the law that he is using to make it his decision, it is not a judicial act. And a judge can be held liable because of that. Judicial immunity does not apply to actions taken without lawful authority. You will hear them say all the time, you know, well, the judge has absolute immunity. The judge has immunity in this. You know, once the judge have jurisdiction, the judge have immunity and all. It is not true. It's just that, again, you know, these kind of matters are a little bit deeper than the surface. But when you start overstanding that these basic things are what makes or breaks a case before it starts. This has nothing to do with facts. It has nothing to do with evidence. It has nothing to do with a charge. If a judge exercises jurisdiction outside of the law, it is not a judicial act. It's just that you may not, and quite frankly, I have not done the research for Jamaica, but in many other countries, people challenge the judge's authority all the time. In Jamaica, I don't think I have seen any case where someone has challenged a judge's authority, because one of the things is that, you know, people are afraid of the judges in Jamaica. People are very afraid because of their demeanor and how they talk to people too. But these are not invincible individuals. It's just a job. It is simply just a job. It is just that, again, they exercise a lot of freedom to rule from the bench because of their immunity. So they are not afraid to rule, but at the same time, it has to be fair and in accordance with the law. Then cannot just get up and tell us, say, well, I know, so we are going to do the case. This is a FIMI courtroom and things like that. Is not a judicial act. Those are not lawful orders. Those are not lawful directions. So if it has nothing to do with the law or what he's exercising as the law, then he really is not exercising a judicial or a function of a judge. Whether he do it all the time or not, it is not a function of a judge to rule without lawful authority. So anyways, when we talk about things like stability of the government, right? We have to think about what is currently happening and what we would change. And that is how we build on top of a foundation. Right? We don't want to create everything from scratch, obviously. There are many examples out there that we can use to infuse into a constitution so that we build it robust, we build it strategic, and we build it better than what is already out there. Because when was the last time you heard of a country creating a constitution? A people creating a constitution? Even the other day when where was that place? Where the entire government got thrown out, and then the people decide to go in and create their own government and department and stuff like that. I think that news was very suppressed after that happened. I forgot what the country was. But anyways, these people go in and they created their own government. An entire country. Right? Now, again, that was a little bit violent. You know, that was quite the spectacle. But at the same time, it was corruption that was happening that caused that. The people just decided, say, we nah, take it no more. That's it. We're done with this. And then get up and then just run them out. Right? But that is not the goal here. The goal here is simply to recognize that we have the power. We make our declaration, we start our constitution, and we go from there. Right? And someone bring up the question that, so what happens if we don't have a system of government in place, or we don't have the backing of the police? What will happen? It will be chaos, right? And sometimes I have to wonder if people really think. Because think about it now, right? Because it's not a hard question to answer. Right now, the police are there. The police is not on every corner. The police is not on every road. But the police has a presence, right? If the police is not there, and you go thief somebody things and then catch you, what then do? What you think are going to happen if somebody go thief or somebody go do something in a violation of somebody else's right? Them know say I feed them things or know say I feed them right, and somebody blatantly go out and go violate them. And there is no police. What do you think is going to happen? You think it's going to be chaos and people are run around like fire upon their head? Or do you think somebody are going to just catch somebody and chop them up? Or just deal with jungle justice? How will there be chaos? That is my question. Because for some reason, people think that the authority that is in government is the glue in society. I don't get it. Like, yeah, watch too much TV. Just because we might not have a government in power. Yes, there are certain industries that would crumble, right? But at the same time, that does not mean the entire place would be in chaos and people would have dead and all of that something. It would be very, actually, probably even more simpler, where if something bad happens, it would be speedy justice. Very speedy too. There would be nobody to stop people from mobbing and ensuring that if you go in a one place and I do something you're not supposed to do, there would be no trial. I can tell you that. So I don't think there will be any chaos. It's just like on the road. If you don't see the police, what happened? People drive freely and they are probably even more happier because they don't have to worry about speed trap. They don't have to worry about, you know, all of them different because something there. Generally speaking, police is not on every corner and we don't have chaos. So if them not did a non-tall, I don't think it would be much of any difference really in society if we don't have that enforcement or that frightening mentality of you might get in trouble. But hey, I might be wrong, but I doubt it. So this is not about changing what's there or trying to overtake anything. That has nothing to do with what we're doing here. So if that's what the agents are looking for, sorry to disappoint. But we're not looking to overthrow or to stop anything. It would simply be a free people that actually take part in their government. Imagine a free people who have the voice to make change immediately. A free people that does not restrict local travel, does not restrict international travel, does not charge arbitrary fees, does not criminalize basic freedom of movement, does not haul people into court trying to create revenue. Right? Imagine a country like that, where now you don't even need a license to go make a living. You can, I mean, granted, granted, you know, imagine if we, as a people, we no longer need to go register in order to say, may I sell some peanut, or may I sell some shrimp, or may I sell some fish. Right? Granted, you know, I am not saying that people fit up on every corner I sell. Right? But you can't blame people when there is no infrastructure for them to exercise that kind of function. If there is, let's say for example, we have a place where people go dance at night, right? And you have a man with jerk pork, a man with jerk chicken, a man with fish, roast fish I sell, a man have all, people have different things I sell, right? As long as it is not disorderly and you have rules where you cannot leave garbage, you cannot leave the place untidy, you have to ensure that whatever you are doing is sanitary. You know, we have a section where we have, you know, just create an environment of unity, peace, and freedom. I know everybody want to jerk chicken, so you don't have to worry, say, 15 and 20 jerk pan are going to on the side of the road. Right? You limit it. You say, okay, we'll allow 10 people or 20 people. 5 can be chicken, 5 can be jerk, 5 can be fish, and you make a variety out of it. Right? You don't restrict everybody and then you send around the security forces figure harass them. Ask them for this, ask them for that. You foster the thing so that it is controlled. Right? If somebody out there and a man have a jerk pan, even if the man have a day job and him decide say, alright, I'm going to do one like a chicken thing on the side. Allow the man alone or allow the woman alone, make them do them thing. Them still have to work though. Them still have to go buy the chicken. Them still have to go buy them seasoning. Them still have to go prepare. Why harass people? It no make no sense. It's almost like, and again this is theoretical. Me no know for sure. So I take this as literal. It is almost like the system of governance is feeding off of the negative energy of people. Because if somebody's out there trying to say, hey, you know something? Me can't find a regular job, or me too old for go look job, or me too old for go learn for do this and that and whatever. And me decide say, alright, here we go on. Me I go buy some chicken. Me know how to make chicken, jerk chicken. Me know how to season it good. And me feel like say people are gonna like it. And somebody has start a honest little Little hustling. What is wrong with that? What? If you want to create, if you say, okay, we need some kind of assurance that the food is sanitary and all of that, you create an environment for that, right? You have somebody who ensures, say, quality control are going whenever that situation turn up. And it's very simple, right? You teach people basic sanitary standards, or you make a class where them say, all right, if you want to do this, you have to make sure, say, you have your food and glass permit, and you get them to get one class. Matter of fact, you shouldn't even need a permit. You just need to go one place, take the class, you register, and every so often you send out a random person to check to make sure, say, them are doing what them supposed to do. Case closed. Case closed. But if you are going to criminalize everything, the security force then come around and kick over people's stall and take with them little livelihood and them food and them something there. It is like you're fostering a negative energy field. Right? And me not see how that will help the country. If anything, you just send people to say, all right, if you want something, you just go to the supermarket. I don't like that. Honestly, I don't like that. Well, people can say anything, but one thing you cannot say I've said anything political on my page. That's one thing I stay away from. I don't want to have nothing to do with it. And I can proudly say I have never voted and I never will. Never. So, whatever people say a lot of things. That is not the worst of it. So, I can live with that. But anyways, you know, if we don't allow our native people to survive, if we don't foster, how can we... You know, I can see a part of this. They can say, well, look how much people go to school and them want the people them come at the restaurant, you know, them want people can showcase them skills and all them something. That not have nothing to do with basic people. Right? That not have nothing to do with basic people. And Baba say, that's not the problem. The big chicken company will not stand for that. That for them problem that. I for them problem that. Look at it. If we have the local people them start grow them own chicken. You see, and this is what I mean by we need a community. Because a lot of people them do hand to mouth, so them not have time to sit down and discuss matters and come up with solutions. So sometimes I say some things it might sound, yo, that sounds real good, you know, we're really supposed to do that. We need a community of people. Somebody will raise chicken, I can almost guarantee them no one out there sell chicken too. Raising chicken is enough. Right? So them grow the chicken them clean them up and sell them, and that's it. Right? So that is a separate industry by itself. Poultry. Now the person who buy the chicken and them say, alright, me I go do jerk chicken or me I go do fried chicken, right? If I'm gonna go to jerk chicken, you're probably not gonna see my day. Mostly evening to night, people do them something. People do it a day still, but mostly nighttime, right? So, you have an industry right there. You literally have an industry right there. Somebody grow the chicken them, somebody buy the chicken and jerk it or fry it. Two different industry right there. Right? Two people happy. Or two set of people happy. How hard is that? Why should these two set of people who are doing things on such a small scale, why should they suffer talking about taxes on the basic living that they are making? Even if I make a good little piece of change, adjust them alone. Why oppress these small people? It don't make no sense. The amount of revenue generated from so many different aspects of society, it don't make no sense. So, This is why we need to create something for ourselves. When we create a constitution for ourselves, do you really think that Jamaicans are going to vote and say, yes, we need to tax everybody? We need to tax bag juice too. We need to tax box drinks and everything we have sugar in it. We need to tax salt. We need to tax some sugar. You know, I'm going to put up that on the voting. Do you, as a Jamaican, feel that we should tax bag juice? Let me start. You see, everything with them I discuss, I am going to put I am going to put up a poll so people can go and actually vote on what they are talking about. Because none of the something them with them are discussing in a parliament, me no believe saying the majority of Jamaica know say they even did a think about that. They don't get no national support of anything. They just come up with these things and then start discussing. And that's the other thing. Then get up and then start debate and a chat about all of these things. Right? But what change happens after that? Nothing. Then just start on the next thing. It becomes a highlight in the news and that's it. By next month or 3 months down the line, you hear so this gazetted. And now that a law. So no new tax. The people had no say. The people literally had no say. And you know, there are some things that I can't really talk about. Signatories don't know what I talk about. Level 2. But certain things I can't talk about. But at the end of the day, the point of taking things into our own hands is to make Jamaica better for Jamaicans. We can't worry about foreign interests. If we in a Jamaica can't have a basic livelihood, how can we worry about people are foreign? How can we worry about corporate interests and, you know, hotel now make this much money or we need casino and this and that? How can we worry about that when we have people who, listen, it's too much local problems to be worrying about foreign interests. Too much. And like I said before, something simple like fixing the roads. We don't need to fix the whole island at a time. Start from one side, either the top, the bottom, the left, or the right. Pick one parish and fix the whole of the road them in a one parish. That is how we start. We don't need to do everything one time. Right? If we can do one thing at a time, I can guarantee the country fix faster than we can blink. Me nah ask. Jamaica has so much resources. We have so much in our, as you can call it, our repository. It is just that we are not made aware of it. We're not made aware of it. The taxi man, they want me to talk about the whole taxi situation and all of that, but them are one of the people them will love the noise. They love shout. They love protest. They love talk about oppression. But when me tell them I say come to class, I want to think I work. So I don't show up. So taxi is the last thing I talk about. See? The taxi and them kind of something there is going to be the last thing on the agenda. Because one or two unruly. Even when I put the solutions on here, I don't know if I do it because I don't want to understand. I just want, yes, we need to come together and strike. We need to come together and tell the government this. We're not coming together and tell the government nothing. Okay? If you don't want to learn, then you just suffer the consequences until such time. But at the end of the day, basic livelihood should not be suppressed. Right? We talk about competency before. And something like a driver's license, right? Where I hear the police talk about this before several times, where they say, well, if we not check your driver's license, how do we know if you are fit for the road? If you don't have no license, how we know, say, your license not expire and all that something there? And I ask the question, after you get the license, what other fitness do you need to check? Do you see the car wobbling coming down the road? What caused you to pull over somebody asking for a license? It don't make no sense. When I go to renew my license, do I need to take another driving test? Do I need to go pass some kind of competency? No. You fill out one form, you get 2 passport picture, and you sign it, and you get your license in 4 to 6 weeks. That's it. So when police stop people about, we need to check your license, it is a revenue generating exercise. It is foolishness. It is a violation of people's basic right of free movement without a pass. If you don't have the license, you can't pass. So the license is considered a pass. Right? So, again, basic competency of some of these things will resolve a lot of issues. Because traveling from one place to the next should not equal a crime. It should not equal suspicion. Traveling with one broken taillight, at the most you should get a warning. You should not be getting a ticket for that. If somebody is in the middle of an intersection, you can't give somebody a ticket for that. If you say your brake stoplight. What's somebody going to do? Fly over the other car? How that work? Like a lot of these things is just because people are not prosecuting and filing claims in the Supreme Court. That is why these things proceed. But again, basic competency of a lot of these things is just, you can't think of it as anything other than a money-making thing. You can't. So in order to eliminate that and stop some of these issues, we as a people need to step in. We as a people need to put a new structure in place and stop relying upon something that is already there, that is from slavery time. See? So, let me update this thing here. 1, 2, 3 documents. All right. So, did we save this? Make sure it's saved. So let us, it can't be for all of us. That's true. We're not here to please everybody, you know. Is whosoever find this useful, because most likely if you are not with something like this, your brain cannot process this level of intellect. So that's fine. This is not for everybody. Now, again, how do we get to the constitutional draft? So we go to voiceofjamaica.com, which is here. We click on New Constitution, and we click on Constitution and Bill of Rights, right? Once we are here we have the draft document. So if you want a copy of the document instead of trying to read it from the website, you can click on draft document here and it will download a copy for you, right? And you can view the copy, and from there you can read through it and you can make your suggestions, and we will have the suggestions at the very bottom of the document down here. So we have one suggestion already, and as we go along we will showcase all the suggestions that were made, and then we will infuse these suggestions into our constitutional draft. All right, so that is what we have for today. I'm gonna open up the poll, the guest section. So if we have questions, we have comments, emotional outbursts, they can pick a box and come up and we can discuss for a few before we close out. But I'll just go and entertain while we see if anybody wants to come up. Zin. So here we have section 11, right? We talk about public decision authority. The people shall vote directly on matters including national spending, right? Right now, the government do whatever they want. Them spend on anything with them vote on in a parliament or wherever, right? We don't have no say. The constitutional amendments, we haven't seen any of that lately, right? Major development projects like road works, like National Housing Trust, which is supposed to be a public trust, we actually build house for people. They're not supposed to do them currently or do with housing trust money, right? International agreements affecting sovereignty, right? All of these agreements being signed with different countries where we never know about. We don't know what in the agreement them. We don't know who signed it. We don't know how it affect the nation. Them something they would have stopped. The people would have a direct vote after we have a chance to review what it is that we agree to, right? Voting systems must ensure transparency. Let's go closer. Voting systems must ensure transparency, security, equal access for all citizens. So, again, we can't have a system of voting where we don't have access to the direct data. We have box and box and move from one place to the next and all that foolishness. No. Zin? We simply have a system of voting that is local, right? People just simply come there. You have your ID or your ID number, and you go in, you press one button and you're done. Or, we can create something where it is independent, where people can use them phone. You put in your ID number. We probably never want to do that, right? Because we know how people stay. We never want to really connect it to the internet. We can have something local in every parish. You come and you vote, and immediately you see the vote, you see the total vote. And when everything is done, we see what the vote is for a specific thing. We don't need this heap of paper and ballot and move around the place and you don't know this, you don't know that, you don't know if somebody do something. Foolishness. It's supposed to be in the wide open. None of them voting things are not supposed to move from anywhere to anywhere. You come, you vote, you see the number go up by 1. And that's it. So if you don't come out and vote, then fine. But everybody will know what it is they are voting on. And that is how we're supposed to have it. We're not supposed to have nothing behind closed doors. We're not supposed to have no counting. It's supposed to be automatic. And we're all supposed to can see the voting happening. Right? How do you get to this website? This website is voiceofjamaica.com. We just went over that, but let's do it again. You go to voiceofjamaica.com and you will get to this page. You click on New Constitution and then you click on Constitution and Bill of Rights. And that is how you get to the constitutional draft. Right? What do we have here? Do you have face-to-face meetings? No, we do not have face-to-face meetings right now. It is not required. Exactly. Everybody's supposed to can see what go on. We're not supposed to have nothing in the dark. We're not supposed to have nothing where people wonder what this or what is going on and all them something there. See? So that is the basic public authority. Right? There is no question about anything. Very simple. You know, the term of office we can leave at 4 years. That is all right. Now, the important thing here is, with the term of office, this is not fixed. So even if somebody has served a term, if they are terrible at their job, the people can vote to remove them from office. We don't have to wait on the term to complete. This is important. It don't matter who it is. It don't matter who it is. If you are in public office and you're not doing your job, we the people put you in a power, so we the people supposed to can alleviate that problem right away. We're not supposed to wait for nothing. It's just like if somebody run down somebody to harm them. We're not supposed to have to wait until the harm happen. We're supposed to can do something right now. It's a basic system of defense and accountability. Right? And instead of we having, you know, just a single individual running things or doing certain things, we should have national commanders, one representative from each parish. And guess what? When we have term limit for office, right? You don't have no one individual in there until them whole angry. We have individuals in there we serve only 2 terms, then you change to somebody else. We give everybody a chance to exercise government office if they want to, right? You simply have to be voted in. You have to be of good character. Nobody now put nobody in a power where them know say, or them not know you, or you know really do nothing in the community. Think about it. Really think about it, people. If we actually have a people-based system where people from the communities get voted in, it will only be people of good moral character that will be in office. That is the only time we would have fair, impartial, and a justice-based system. If we have hardworking people like teachers, doctors, you know, professors, people who are doing good community service, people who really want to be a part of their community, right? These are the people who really turn out to be good leaders. And that is how we maintain order in society, and that's how we get fair people in office who are not going to do unscrupulous things. So we have to set these things as a foundation. And once we have them as a foundation, everything that comes after that is gravy on top. Because we know we have people with integrity taking public office. Again, we're not blaming anybody, you know. We're not blaming anybody, but at the end of the day, if we don't have people from our own communities in government, I don't think we actually have a real government in place. National commanders, right? So that we are talking about not too long. From among the 14 parishes, from among the 14 parish commanders, the people shall elect 2 national commanders. So Baba say, are you saying it's only teachers and doctors can hold public offices? No, that is not what I am saying. I am saying that the people would most likely pick those individuals as the ones who would be eligible or most eligible for public office.
So I left my phone when I saw a charge. Below
One right.
that.
Alright, one right, looks like him ready. One right. Alright. So instead of having a prime minister or a president, right? We would have two parish commanders, right? So that way, we don't have a dictator-like government where you have one individual who can make certain decisions. We would have a balance. So from the 14 parishes, the people would still vote in the two national commanders, right? The national commanders shall serve as the international and national representatives of Jamaica. So, for example, to attend international conferences, international meetings, negotiate treaties and things like that, acquire agreements for public voting and all of that. It would not be a single individual. It would have to be two individuals who would have to sign off on these things, right? So that way, we never have just one person accountable. It shouldn't be two, it should be three. Well, that can always be changed, right? You can make the suggestion. At the bottom of this page, you can submit a suggestion so that we can infuse it. I agree, we should have more, right? We don't want a situation where we don't have enough representation on a matter, right? Sometimes it will garner, a longer time to come to an agreement. But if we have three, we can say, okay, that's a quorum. If we have two votes, we move forward. If we have one vote, then the matter dies. So that works too. That works too. All right. Their responsibilities include foreign relations, national security coordination, right? Emergency leadership, execution of decisions approved by the people, right? In any event, a decision that needs the majority. Exactly. So, again, these are basic placeholders, right? Where this is where we can start from as a basis. If we as a people feel like, okay, these need to be extended to additional responsibilities, so be it, right? We make the suggestions, we craft these different sections, and we expand sections, we compress sections, we, infuse sections, probably two sections into one, right? We have the chance right now to make these changes. National commanders must act jointly in matters of national importance. That document is an outline of the new constitution we need to create. Yes, this is what we call the constitutional draft. So we are on draft number 2, right? So this is not the complete document as yet. For those who are wondering, when you go on the web page, at the very top of the document, there is the draft document, the current draft that we're looking at. It's right here. So you can download it and you can look at it more comprehensively offline, So, yeah, those are the basics. We went over the whole document already. So you can review the document and you can make your suggestions. And then after we are done with the first full draft, then we're going to start infusing the suggestions, right? So now you have a chance, you have some time to make your suggestions on what you think a constitution or we the people constitution supposed to have. And then once we infuse all of those things, then we come back together, we review it section by section, we see if we want to change anything else, see if we want to, add, change, modify, remove. We have that power, right? But I am going to continue creating the sections, and then from there, we have a chance to make a complete document as we the people. Zine? So that is what we have for tonight. We will continue again on Saturday at to be discussed. It is going to be on my page, so you can go to my page up there, so or yeah, up here, so the page there. You can go to the page and it will show you, or it will tell you when the next live is going to be, right? And you can join in and we can discuss the matter, but I will also review the new changes that are going to be made to the document, and then we can have an extended conversation from that point on. All right, so big up on yourself. Thank you for joining. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for engaging. And we will continue on Saturday. Big up on yourself. Lawful, always.